Message 1, the benefits are real. You know, like I said, those cool college kids, they're having fun. Look, they get to take a class where they go and they teach another class. It's fun, they make friends, and it's a place where your own interests, like I said, if you like computers, you can become an architect. If you like drawing, you can do this. It's a place that values choices. Message 2, the obstacles are real. We saw those citizen teachers messaging that when they talked about all the different folks who became successful architects but had very different pathways and overcame some very real things to be able to meet their dreams. And message 3, middle school counts. The skills that you build today, you know, you have the ability to interact professionally with college professors. And math, science, and technology is important. If you want to be an architect in the future, you got to build those skills now. Okay. So at this time, I just wanted to see what questions that you guys have. This is presenting kind of our model, our example. What questions that you have about the 3 strategic messages or what it might look like in an apprenticeship. Just to preview what we're going to do next is kind of do an example together where we take one apprenticeship topic and kind of build it out around those 3 messages. So before we go into that, I wanted to see if you have any questions specifically about the 3 messages. So if you do, just raise your hand and we will call on you. Keisha, is anybody raising their hand?
It looks like everybody's getting what you're saying, Kay.
All right. Well, I'll just take one more minute. I'm going to flash back to this other slide real quick. Show everybody. So these are pretty general. These are things that can be applied to any apprenticeship. Okay. Any other hands? Good to go?
Nope. I think you can move into your example.
Great. Thank you. So like I said, I want to use an example of an apprenticeship that we're actually doing now. So right now I'd like you all to type the general topic or career field that your apprenticeship represents into the comment section so we can see if there's any kind of themes or we can pull one from that group. All right, so before I move on to our example, just take a minute to type in the comment section, the question box, the topic or general field of your apprenticeship so we can use one of yours for the example.
We have entrepreneurship as one, aviation, mock trial, and banking.
Ooh, great. Okay, well, we've got entrepreneurship and banking. I'm thinking those, in my mind, they've come a little bit similarly around money. So let's
also medicines and how they are made.
Oh, how cool. I want to be in all of your apprenticeships. That sounds awesome. Okay. Well, let's go with banking. And this could apply to like entrepreneurship, like starting your own business, something with like financial literacy, money management. All right? So this is just going to be an example. We're going to do it together. I'm going to call on people. I'm going to ask for your ideas. If you were leading a financial literacy apprenticeship, so maybe either something about banking or starting your own business, what are some of the messages or ideas that you might have for telling kids that there are some very real benefits to going to college? So raise your hand if you'd like to contribute, or we will call on some folks.
Well, Todd is the one teaching a banking apprenticeship, so maybe he can talk a little more about his apprenticeship.
Great. Yeah, Todd, and again, this is just our first example. We're doing it together. I'd love to hear how you might have already started talking about or any ideas that you might have for talking to kids about how going to college could benefit them if they're interested in the topic of banking or financial literacy. Todd?
Can you guys hear me? There. Hey, yeah, I really haven't addressed the college thing actually. That's why I'm here.
That's great. Have you any ideas?
I mean, I guess the matter as we go through and discuss some of the topics. I mean, these are things that you'll learn. I think you probably pick up some of these when you go to college. Some of the concepts, certainly the business concepts, the marketing concepts that we're teaching. So those are taught in a lot of programs.
Great. Do you feel like most of the kids who signed up for your apprenticeship, did they, what about your apprenticeship did really appeal to them? Was it the idea of working at a bank, or was it the idea of like learning how to make a lot of money?
Actually, I don't think too many of my kids actually chose that apprenticeship. I think that was kind of the catch-all.
Interesting. Okay. I know that sometimes when I've worked with kids, and some of our really successful kind of financial literacy ones are the ones that really focus on that, like, how do you make enough money to take care of you and your family? That's something that resonates with a lot of our kids who, some of them grow up in uncertain financial situations. So when you ask them what one of their life goals is, you'll often hear, like, making a lot of money, or, like, making enough money so that when I have kids one day, I can take really good care of them. So I think that could be an interesting point, Todd, for you to connect in your apprenticeship, would be this idea that, hey, did you know that the more education you complete, the more money you're likely to make, in the future. This is the average life earnings of somebody who went to high school versus somebody who completed a bachelor's degree versus somebody who completed a master's or even a doctorate degree. That can be a really interesting way to kind of show them that, college pays, literally. Great. Any other ideas maybe from somebody who's teaching that entrepreneurial apprenticeship?
And that is Chris, who's teaching entrepreneurship.
Chris, yeah, I'd love to hear from you, Chris. Have you been able to make any connections to why folks who care about entrepreneurship or starting their own business might want to attend college? Maybe I don't hear anything. Maybe that audio ping.
Sorry about that. I was double muted.
Oh, no.
I was muted on my line too. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
I was going to say that kind of like the architecture apprenticeship. Every week we go over an entrepreneur who started a business that they would know, and we talk about their story. And a lot of times we kind of try to give the kids a pitch of their business, like as if like we were pitching them to bankers. And we talk all the time about it's really important that you have to understand so many pieces to be able to, if you wanted to go get a loan to start a business, you have to, understand the market and your industry, and you have to understand the math behind how you're going to be able to pay back a loan, for example. And those are all skills that, we try to emphasize, you learn over time, and you can learn in like marketing classes and business courses, and, it takes a while to be able to understand all of this, but, showing them all the different pieces.
That's great. And I think that also segues really well into message two, that, the idea that, like, there are very real obstacles, and, like, owning your own business may sound exciting, but it's not easy, is it?
Right.
And how do you talk about that, a little bit more about, you said that you pitch them the different businesses, or give an example of somebody who started their own business?
Right.
And have you yet, or do you talk about the kind of obstacles, or are there things that can make starting a business challenging?
Yeah, I mean, the number one, kind of right off the bat, the number one thing is, we were like, well, what do you need? And, the hardest thing, or, a lot of people are like, oh, you need people, and, but at the end of the day, we're like, yeah, but, if you have an idea, ultimately you're going to need money. And money is not something that, everyone has, however much it's laying around, that you have to be persuasive and convincing and articulate about your idea. And so that's what we were saying, is that you don't have a lot of, we kind of emphasize this idea, we're trying to get them through in the WOW to basically give an elevator pitch. So we defined it as, you have the time from, and we're in my building, so the analogy works well, because we say from the time it takes to get to the first floor to our floor to basically explain your idea and get them interested. And you can't be stuttering, and you can't you have to be very clear on the ideas, and you're not always going to be people aren't always going to want to listen to you, so it has to be really the force of your ideas and how clearly you can communicate and how good your thinking is, and that takes a lot of time to develop. And if you don't have the understanding or the math skills or the knowledge, you're not going to be able to get there.
That's great. And I clicked through the rest of these slides because I think Chris, and it's Chris. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Chris, what I hear you is making a lot of these connections, and so it seems like you're right on track. The benefits are real. When we talk about going to college is a great way. If you're interested, your long-term goals are to start your own business, college is a great way to get extra classes so that you can really be an expert. A lot of people just start their own business, but did you know you could go to college to specifically learn how to run your own business, and that in doing so, you might, increase your earning capability. And two, the obstacles are real. Speaking of earning capability, one of the major things that, at the end of the day keeps a small business alive or not is their access to funds. And so if you've gone to college and you're more likely to earn more money, you might have access to it. Banks might be willing to loan you more money because they've seen that you've gone to college, that you have the specialized training, these extra courses under your belt that could help you overcome those obstacles to keeping your business alive and well. And three, middle school counts. The kind of oral communication and presentation skills that you're learning today are going to be valuable to you when you're earning your MBA one day and pitching your ideas to people. Those are real-world skills, and you're learning them today. So if you are interested in entrepreneurship, there are some very real reasons to get excited about college, prepare now, and yeah, work on those skills right this second. Thank you. So that's our scaffolding example. And I just want to thank, again, Chris and Todd for sharing theirs, because we're moving into the last part, which is our coaching and fading. This is going to be a time for you to kind of assess where you're at in your apprenticeships right now as far as kind of talking about college and career readiness. And so the first question we're going to ask you to think about is, do my students even know what kind of careers are available in my apprenticeship topic? So my apprenticeship topic might be architecture. Do kids know that there's a range of possibilities? There are people who specialize in the drawing. There are people who specialize in history. There are people who specialize in computers. Do kids know what kinds of careers are available in your apprenticeship topic? And so I'm going to ask you guys to think about this by answering a poll. And this is exciting for me. I'm launching my first poll, so let's see if this works. So to launch this poll, can you guys see, Keisha, is the poll showing?
It's showing, Kay. You did
Great.
it just right. Positive reinforcement.
Think about how many students, if I went into your apprenticeship today and asked them, do you know what kind of careers are available in your apprenticeship? How many of your students would say, yes, I know what kind of careers are available to someone like me who loves architecture? So click on the answer that you think best represents your apprenticeship if you went and asked them today. I see a couple people have voted. Great. I think we're missing just one more person. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and let's look at our results. Do you guys see the results? Keisha, are the results
Yes,
showing? Great.
they're up there.
Great. So great. It looks like most people would say at least half of their apprentices knew about some of the careers available in their apprenticeship field. One person, I'm going to ask the person who picked 76 to 100% of their apprentices to tell us a little bit more. Can that person raise their hand? Who put that most of their kids, 76 to 100% of their kids?
And that's Robin Sheedy.
Great.
Hi. So I'm teaching the Aviation Adventures apprenticeship.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And so we've gone through, we actually did a brainstorming exercise where the kids were going to be brainstorming. We broke them up into teams to think about, to brainstorm and make a list of all the careers they could come up with in the aviation industry. So I think just based on that one exercise, I'm pretty confident that they could all come up with, at the very least, a pilot or a co-pilot.
Yeah,
So,
one or two, right?
Yeah.
That's excellent. And what a great example of a way to incorporate that into one of your classroom activities. Make it a game. Get into groups. See which group can come up with the biggest list, in a short amount of time. Robin, that's excellent. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our next one. And this is going to ask you in our self-assessment, do your student know like what your own pathways were? Do your students know your story? So I'm going to try launching poll number 2 here. Think about, again, like if I went into your classroom and asked how many students know where you went to college or how you got to college or how going to college enabled you to get the job that you're doing now, how many of your students would be able to say, yeah, I know how Miss K got to be a teacher. I know what she studied in college. Wait for a couple more people to answer. Great, let's check it out. All right, everybody can see the answers? All right, so again, you know, that's okay. It looks like most of the people really haven't shared their own professional pathway with their students yet, or perhaps not in a way that makes it feel like kids would be able to recall that. And that's okay. That's why we're having this conversation now. I would love to ask, again, you know, somebody who put like closer to the high end of that 76 to 100% range, to raise their hand and tell us a little bit about, you know, what you did to share your own pathway with your students. Keisha, can you see who that is?
That would be Robin again.
Robin, great. Thanks, Robin. Tell us a little bit how you talked with your students about your pathway.
Sure. So, so I'm actually an attorney, and I'm co-teaching this with a friend of mine, and he's had his pilot's license since he was 17, and he was in the Air Force and went to Princeton for engineering, aerospace engineering. So, sort of in the same lesson that we did, had them brainstorm, and we showed them all kinds of different airplanes so that they knew there were different kinds of pilots, and then sort of talking about, you know, all the support that goes into, you know, having planes up in the air. So we actually, we sort of dedicated probably like 30 or probably like 20 minutes to talking about, you know, Matt's background, and then we followed it up in in one of the team building exercises. It was just like to start off like the next session. We had we did a tic-tac-toe game actually, and we split the kids into 2 teams, and they had there were questions that they drew out of a hat, and some of the questions were about Matt's background and to see if they remembered, and every time they got one right, they got to take a space on the tic-tac-toe board. So,
right.
I mean, they sort of, you know, they were forced to recall, well, not forced, but we encouraged them to recall.
Into a game. Absolutely. Yeah. Robin, that's excellent. And again, like, that's a great way to share, you know, for all of you out there, especially if you feel like you haven't had the chance or really intentionally talk to your kids about your own pathway, make it into a game. It can be something that you tell them about. Perhaps you can bring in pictures, or, you know, tell them about that guidance counselor or teacher, how you found out about college and chose this career. And follow it up, like turn it into a game. That's a great way to teach content at the middle school level. Thank you. And then, you know, just we're running a little low on time, so I'm just going to I'm just going to move through to show you some of the other questions that you can be asking yourself as part of this kind of self-assessment of how are you doing incorporating college and career readiness messaging into your apprenticeships. Another great question to ask yourself would be, do my students know what I love about this topic? You know, are you bringing that level of joy that says, you know, when I think about this apprenticeship, and that's me actually with my students when I taught a muraling apprenticeship, I'm not a professional artist, like far from it, but I've always loved painting. And so I was able to say, oh, I loved it. And when I was in college, even though I didn't major in art, I took a lot of art classes because it's just something I love. And so trying to bring that level of joy and connecting that to college can be really helpful too. Another way to kind of assess how you're doing in the college and career readiness is talking about what level of education. You know, it's one thing to get kids really excited about becoming a lawyer, and it's another to say, now just let's talk about like how much school you're going to have to really get through, so that kids have very realistic expectations. That's really important. And finally, do kids know what academic skills are necessary? In their mind, when they think about being an architect, I want them to immediately think math, science, and technology. If a student really wants to be a lawyer, I want them to think reading, language arts, public speaking. Are you able to, do kids know what core academic skills and perhaps even what classes that they're taking right now are mirrored in the careers that they want to have, or the careers being shown to them through your apprenticeship? So those are some great self-assessment questions to be asking yourself, especially in these last couple weeks. If you feel like if your kids, if most of your kids wouldn't be able to answer in the affirmative for these few questions, those can be really kind of points to start having those conversations as you close out your year. Okay, and we're going to do questions, but before we do, I just wanted to give a shout out to my niece, Lillian, who's turning 6. This is my favorite picture of her from a baby. Keisha and Abby probably thought I was nuts for sticking this in there. But she always looked so worried as this tiny child, and we'd always say, "Don't worry, Lillian, you're not alone." So that's my message always for citizen teachers as well, is don't worry, you're not alone. You've got lots of great support. And although this webinar is going to be ending in 4 minutes, there are lots of opportunities for you to continue to have conversations with citizen school staffers about incorporating college and career readiness into your apprenticeship. First and foremost, go to your staff partner. They want your apprenticeship to be successful. They want it to be something that works for both you and your students. Please ask for them to help you beef up or continue to develop your college and career messaging. And as well, on your campus director and citizen teacher liaison, they are resources. You can say, how do I turn this into a game? How do I make this more fun so it's not just me talking? Go to your staff support first and foremost. There are also great resources on CT Nation. Love CT Nation. It's a great way to find out what other people are doing around this topic across the country. And as well, you can even use Twitter. There's now a Twitter account just for citizen teachers, so you can just throw out there, "Hey, I did this activity yesterday. It really worked to teach them about my pathway." You can use it too. And each other. And again, this links back to CT Nation, but now that we've been on this call, you guys are experts now. I want you to feel like on your campuses, those other citizen teachers who maybe haven't gone through this can look to you for guidance as you develop your apprenticeships. Okay? So like I said, we've got just about 3 minutes left, but I do want us to spend it wrapping up with any kind of lingering questions that you guys might have for me or for each other. So at this time, please raise your hand if you have any questions or comments to close out our time. Keisha, do we have any questions on the line?
Not yet. Looks like everyone's
oh my goodness,
now
how
an
could that
expert.
possibly be? Well, as we wrap up today, I just want to thank you, and again, just reference you to continue learning about this topic, taking advantages of the resources available on your campus and CT Nation, and just get excited about that the possibility you have to really influence the ability and desire for your students to go on to college after graduating from high school, after graduating from middle school, after graduating from citizen schools. You guys really do make the difference, and yeah, I'm excited to have heard your ideas and shared this topic with you today. All right, it's 2 o'clock here in Austin, Texas, and our time's officially up. Thank you so much for participating. Bye-bye.
Yay, Kay. Awesome job if you're still on the line.
Yeah, no, I haven't hung up yet. Oh, Keisha, I just saw that last note. Is anybody else still there?
Carrie says thank you.
Oh, great. Thanks, Carrie. Okay. Great. Maybe it looks like Alice. Okay. Is there what's the follow-up here? Is there anything else that you guys need from me right now?